Hey everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Peanut City Police Podcast. And today I am joined from two members from our Emergency Communications Department. So can you guys go ahead and introduce yourselves to everyone?
Good morning. My name is Andrea Beal, and I am a Senior Communications Operator.
My name is Tracy Pierce. I'm a Communications Lead Operator in the 911 Center.
Great. Well, thank you guys both for joining me here today. So I want to start off just by a little bit about what you guys do every day. So technically, you all are the first responders. You know, you pick up that call when someone calls 911 or even the non-emergency number. So can you take me through kind of what a day in the life of what you do looks like? Give me a synopsis, kind of a behind-the-scenes look at that.
So usually the day starts off with the phone calls. Basically, what we do is we log into our system, of course, and then once we do that, we just kind of field the calls throughout the day, taking 911 calls and non-emergency calls. If it's a day shift operator, we usually get a lot of the admin calls like animal control and things of that nature, and we go through just dispatching those calls to the responders, making sure that they get their calls efficiently and adequately. Sometimes it's very chaotic and sometimes not. Just depends on the day.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people may not know, and our emergency communication center is beautiful. It's huge. You guys have big screens in there, and it's really great. Yes. But I think that just means you guys do a lot. So you guys have traffic cameras up there. You're note taking. You're sending first responders out because you aren't just police. You do Suffolk Police and Suffolk Fire and Rescue, correct?
Yes.
So can you just tell me a little bit about how you handle all of that when you're doing so many things at once?
It just comes along with a lot of practice. Being an operator for as long as I have, as long as Tracy have, we've kind of gotten into our own mode of how we handle those day-to-day operations, especially in the 911 center. I know for me, I don't use a clipboard or anything like a lot of other operators do. A lot of my note-taking comes inside of the computer.
It definitely takes a lot of multitasking.
It does.
You have to be able to do more than one thing at one time, because there's times where you may be working a fire on the fire channel and you're on 911 taking a break in progress. And so you've got to be able to listen to the radio, you've got to listen to the phone, and so you also have to be aware of what's going on in the room, because there's other calls coming in at the same time. There's other things going on the radio channels, whether it be police or fire or animal control. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And now I kind of want to pivot to learn just a little bit more about you all individually. So can you tell me a little bit about why you chose this career path to be a communications operator?
For me, in all transparency, I had a 2-year-old child at home. I was only working part-time at the time. A good friend of mine who used to be a dispatcher, she called me and was like, hey, I'm leaving. There might be a spot open. And, I've always looked at the shows. I think it was called Rescue 911 back then. And I just thought it was, interesting hearing the other person on the other end of the radio. And I just always wondered, what that would be like. And when I had the opportunity to apply, I did. So it took a long time for me to get here, but I'm here.
Good. Well, we're glad to have you.
I actually fell into it. It wasn't something that I always wanted to be, growing up. I started doing EMS. I got my EMT when I was in high school. And from there, I guess I kind of just fell into the profession, because 6 months out of high school, I was too young to be a police officer, which I had thought about doing, and, I would have had to go to paramedic school to be a firefighter, and I really didn't want to run into a burning building. So I started with another agency 6 months out of high school. I was with them for 6 years, and then came over to Suffolk, and I've been here for 18 years.
Oh, wow. So, even though this wasn't technically your end goal, you always had that emergency services kind of path in mind.
Right.
Awesome. So I guess now that you've been here for a while, each of you, what is the most rewarding part of your job, would you say?
I think for me, just I'm happy knowing that at the end of the day, I did my service to the community. And at the end of the day, my firefighters and my police officers and my animal control officers, they all go home to their loved ones. As long as I am not complacent and not just waiting for something to happen, I'm always checking on them, making sure they're okay. For me, the most rewarding part is knowing that when I'm done with my shift, my people are going home at the end of the day. So that's rewarding for me.
Absolutely.
Kind of to piggyback off what she said, making a difference, knowing that every day that I come to work, you know, whether it be the best outcome or not the outcome that we want, we were there for the call. We were there for the citizens and our responders.
Yeah. And, you know, kind of to take from that, but a little bit more on the flip side, it's not always great when you guys get called, right?
Right.
And whether it's, you know, it's probably somebody's having a really bad day. So how do you cope and keep pushing through your shift after a rough call, whether it was somebody's house caught on fire or what have you? I know that it's not always easy to answer that phone.
For me, I literally bring my Bible to work with me because sometimes you never know what's going to be on the other end of the call. And for me, reading scriptures and just knowing that, you know, even though that was a bad call, there's going to be a pot of gold somewhere at the end of the rainbow at some point in time. So for me, I like to pray a lot, and I read my Bible constantly. It just helps me get through.
Yeah, that's awesome.
After a difficult call for myself personally, I like to, you know, if it's really bad, just get up from the desk, take a step out. We actually have a room that is, the purpose is for us to have a quiet space just to decompress. And, you know, sometimes it's just talking it out with the coworkers in the room, you know, just talking about the call makes it better to deal with, because there are some difficult things that we take and we listen to. It's a lot harder to hear things than versus you get out there, you see what you have. We don't get that. We just have the sounds in our head.
But I want to take it back to the basics and have this be a little bit informational as well. So can you talk to our viewers a little bit about like when to call 911?
Dialing 911, you know, just seems to be easier for a lot of people. That's the 3 numbers to remember versus 7 digits you have to remember. But I think what I would like to tell people is that calling 911 is for extreme emergencies. You know, someone is sick, or there's been an accident, or you know, some type of dire emergency. But if your lights are out, or your phone is not working, or you don't know the number to dial for customer service for your cell phone, that's probably not a reason to call 911. That would be what I would say.
Sure. You kind of agree with that, Tracy, or is there anything else that you wanted to add?
Yes, well, things that are in progress. I mean, obviously, if someone's breaking into your house, dial 911. If you come home and like you notice like your window is broken on a car or something like that, that's not really something 911 you can call our non-emergency line for, because every time someone calls 911, you're tying up one of our operators who may have someone calling in and they're having a heart attack, but we're tied up taking a call that could have been handled on a non-emergency line.
Sure, absolutely. And I know you guys, too, part of it is just prioritizing everything that you get in and, you know, who to send where. So a lot definitely goes into it. And so that's all the questions I have for you guys today. Like I said, we could probably sit here for hours and talk about all the different intricacies of your jobs. But I just want to open it up now to you all. Is there anything else that you want to add or talk about that maybe I didn't ask you?
If I could say one thing, I would just say that a lot of people don't realize that 911 operators are equipped to handle a lot of different emergencies. If we're allowed the opportunity to provide the assistance, we can provide the assistance. We can triage, well, I don't want to use that word, that's probably not a good word, EMT, where we can help people from nosebleeds to delivering a baby. We have those instructions available. We are certified to do those type of things. A lot of people don't realize that. They just look at us as glorified secretaries, and we're not. So we can do a wide array of things if people just give us the opportunity to help.
Yeah, we are actually certified emergency medical dispatchers. So we are certified. We go through trainings just to equip us with the skills and knowledge to be able to handle certain emergency calls. And yes, in an emergency, I understand that it's very overwhelming when yourself or your loved one needs help. And, you know, not asking the questions actually can be a detriment because we have to get this information. And this is going to help us help you before EMS gets there, as well as the EMS providers to be prepared on what they need to do when they get on scene. So when we ask these questions, it's not delaying anything. It's actually helping us gather more information that we may be able to assist before help actually arrives. So if the citizens would just answer our questions, I promise you it's not going to delay getting help.
Yeah, and that's good to know. I know sometimes when you're on the other end in a panic,
Right.
it's like, why are you, just send them.
Yes,
You know,
just send them.
You probably already sent them, but you need to give
Right.
them the proper information so everybody can come out on the other side.
Right.
That's right.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys again for joining us today, and we might have to have you back too because, like I said, I think what you guys do is so interesting, but also so important because, you know, the police can't be dispatched somewhere if you guys don't send them, if you guys don't take that call, and same with fire and rescue. They don't know where to go without you guys. So thank you for what you do, and thank you for being on today's episode.
Thanks for having us.
Thank
Of
you.
course, thank you, and thank you guys for watching, and we will be back next week with another episode.